Y estamos de regreso con ustedes aquí en KBBF. La siguiente entrevista va a ser en inglés primero y de ahí en español. We're back with you here on KBBF 89.1 FM and on the web at kbbf.org. My name is Rafael Vasquez, and this is your show, Líderes del Futuro. Today, we have the opportunity to have a discussion with Emmanuel Morales and Daniel Garcia, who are going to be talking to us in regards to what is going on in Roseland at the moment, because there is this dispensary that was approved by one of the commissions in the city of Santa Rosa, but now there is, an appeal to stop that. So because people are saying we don't want a marijuana dispensary, what we want is a cultural center. So we have Emmanuel Morales. Emmanuel, welcome once again to the show, Líderes del Futuro. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you for hosting us, and doing well. Just trying to keep up with the work and the campaign as we continue forward with this effort to get the city council to uphold the appeal that is currently sitting on their desk in terms of allowing this business to move forward in establishing itself in Roseland. And just maintaining the connections, maintaining the momentum, but overall I'm doing pretty well. Thank you.
I know that it has taken you a lot of energy really to be organizing and moving, the pieces around, as we would say, because you are with the North Bay Organizing Project, and you are the one who oversees the Latinx Student Congress, which again is a collaboration of students from multiple junior high schools and high schools in Sonoma County. So organizing schedules, organizing all this stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened this last Tuesday? And then we'll go to Daniel and get a little bit more information in regards to his personal experience with this, proposed cannabis dispensary.
Yes, definitely. So for the past month, a little bit over a month, we have been actively collecting signatures to get support for the online petition that we have. So after the Planning Commission approved the conditional use permit for this cannabis company, immediately after that, a community member, actually two community members, stepped up and separately submitted an appeal. And so we've been supporting and sort of co-signing on that appeal by way of demonstrating the support, doing some of the outreach, actually the outreach that this company never did. And we've gotten students that are participating in and organizing with Latinx Student Congress to actively be out in the community, getting signatures, gaining physical signatures, and all with the intention of submitting them to the city council to demonstrate how much community support we have behind the idea of rejecting this proposed business, and instead urging the Santa Rosa City Council to meet the demands of Roseland, which have been made for over a decade, if not longer. And that is to provide services, to have a permanent location for a public library in Roseland, a multicultural center, community center, or resiliency hub. And so through this work, we've been actively out in the community. The students have done most of the work in terms of the outreach, contacting folks in our community, setting up several dates where we've been out, as well as just having that ongoing effort by having the petitions in their possession and constantly asking members of the community to sign. We accumulated over 900 signatures in physical form that this past Tuesday we went to the Santa Rosa City Council and submitted. Prior to that, we held a press conference at the proposed site, which is 100 Sebastopol Road. It's the former Roseland University Prep campus. And the idea is, again, to have what used to be or served as a center for learning for young people, to have it be repurposed into something that's community oriented. We've known that the location has been vacant and available, and that the city council has funds to help fund the creation of a community center. Yet the planning commission awarded this conditional use permit to this company. So that's been our struggle. And so, yeah, this past Tuesday, we did our press conference. From there, we walked through the neighborhood in Roseland, Olive Street, used the catwalk to cross the freeway, where we were able to generate attention from the traffic on the freeway and motorists. And then we landed on the other side on Earl Street and Santa Rosa Avenue. And from there, we worked our way up to the city council chambers, where the idea was to show up on time for the public comment. And once we showed up, then we essentially like made our presence felt. We had folks sign up for public comment, and when the public comment on unagendized items came up, then we were able to one, speak, get the attention of the city council, and two, which is the purpose was to submit the signatures. And so actually Daniel, that's present here with us today, he's a student in Roseland at RUP. He's been engaging in Mecha at RUP, and he was one of the students that was present on that day, but also the person who submitted the signatures on behalf of the Roseland community.
Definitely. Thank you for giving us that bit of information. Anyone who's interested in watching the video, Líderes del Futuro was there present broadcasting live. So you can go to my Facebook page, DACA Sonoma County, and watch the video there where the speakers were able to contribute their thoughts and ideas. Daniel, welcome to the show. Can you tell us first of all, why is it that you are investing your personal time and energy into this?
Yes, thank you, Rafael. Personally, my biggest concern and the reason I'm investing so much of my time into this is because if I personally, somebody who lives just a couple blocks from where this dispensary is being built, I didn't know about it until after all of this was going on. If I didn't know about this, what about all the other people in the community who maybe don't speak English? Like most of the people here in Roseland are Hispanic, Latinos. And if I didn't know about it and I speak English and I'm so close to the school where it's being built, like what about all these people? Like, how are they going to know? Like maybe a lot of people don't speak English. They don't know about the things that are actually like going on that are going to affect them. Like that's just my biggest concern about it, that they didn't know and they live here.
Definitely. And that's what a lot of advocates now, it's a new word that they use. They call it language justice. And language justice is simply, if you don't tell the community in a language that they understand, how do you expect them to participate? But what the other issue that goes with that is what we call the Open Government Ordinance. The Open Government Ordinance is where the government is supposed to welcome all of their community members. And if we know that in Santa Rosa specifically, you have a large Latinx community that is going to be affected in the Roseland area by this, then you are supposed to make the information available in their language, but also have the meetings when they can participate.
Yes.
And one of the things that we know is that the meetings happen at 1 in the afternoon, at 3 in the afternoon, at 4 in the afternoon, when community members, I'm assuming, and you would know better because you live in that community, are probably still working. What would you say to the city council on this item of Open Government Ordinance? Because when I say Open Government Ordinance, it's actually a local law that requires them to provide you the information in your language, and that they have the meetings when you are available. what would you say to the City Council of Santa Rosa?
I would say that not only do they have to provide that information like in the language, the primary language here, Spanish, in that language, so that people can understand it, but also make sure that that they know that those meetings are actually going to happen. So whether that's through emails, or actually going door to door and letting people know that, hey, this is going to happen, you should be here. Because around those times, like 1 through 4 p.m., 1 through 5 p.m., people here are working. They're not home. Their kids are at school. Like they probably don't have any other way to get there. So if they can be scheduled at times, like in the evenings where they can maybe get there, it'd make it so much easier for them to actually be engaged in issues in their communities.
Definitely. And then, coming back to Emmanuel, one of the other things that I'm sure you look at is the fact that in the city of Santa Rosa, when we talk about dispensaries, one of the items that the city council must look at, and it is a requirement, is whether or not opening another dispensary will be detrimental to public interest. And it sounds like the community of Roseland are saying, give us a cultural center, which is going to help us, and not another dispensary, which is going to be detrimental to our community. What would you say to that piece?
Yeah, I think that's an argument that goes back to the overconcentration of liquor stores in neighborhoods and communities that are experiencing economic disparity, right? And low-income neighborhoods, communities of color. And I think it's almost the same situation that's happening here. It's the overconcentration of dispensaries in neighborhoods and community, in our community, in low-income neighborhoods, in neighborhoods that are already and communities that are already experiencing those economic disparities that make it difficult to access resources, and that often get overlooked or left out of government decisions. And you have businesses like such as the one we're taking a stance against, that will come in and definitely profit from our community. They made several claims in their proposal that they were going to help the community, that they're going to provide funding for community organizations, but I don't see how, especially with some of the organizations that they named, it's almost ironic in how they would try to do that, considering that some of those are actual resources for the community, and they advocate for teens, young people, the community in general, not using substances. And so in this situation, I think that's exactly where we are. If we look at the map of Santa Rosa, and you look at specifically the location of the dispensaries throughout Santa Rosa, you'll notice that the majority of them are concentrated west of the freeway, and hardly any, if any at all, not that I noticed, are operating in neighborhoods like Fountain Grove, like Bennett Valley, like Rincon Valley, some of the neighborhoods and communities that are considered to be affluent. And so I think that's a strategic move on behalf of the businesses, right? They want to go to where they know they'll be able to extract money. And so that's one of our stances, is why our neighborhoods, why are our communities being targeted for business and profit, and why not other neighborhoods? And I know that if any proposed business is made in any of these other affluent communities, quote unquote, then they would take a strong stance against it, and most likely get the city council to overturn it. So that's where we're at with the overconcentration and saturation of businesses like that.
Definitely. And again, there are other issues that have been shared, not just language justice and the violation of the open government ordinance is a detrimental to public interest of the city. How does it affect the environment where there's already a lot of contamination of the land in this place? What are the chances that could be an explosion because they're going to be extracting the material directly on campus? That they want to have people go and purchase the product and then basically use the product on campus, and whether or not they're going to drive under the influence out of there. And then the other, there's so many pieces. The last one I want to briefly just mention here is the fact that the community has to come up with $600 just to even be able to appeal this decision, which big businesses have the money, but poor communities of color don't, right? So there's so many pieces that we need to keep in mind. And so can you tell us what is the next step?
Yeah, so now that we've submitted our petition signatures and the appeal is waiting to go to the public hearing, for us, it's generating a turnout and continuing to make our demands. We have an opportunity this next Tuesday to show up at City Council when the item will actually be on their agenda. The appeal will go before a vote, and looking at the public records and the agenda in preparation for this item to go before the council. We know that the planning and economic development department is recommending that they deny the appeal. So we do have an uphill battle. That's something we understand. But we showed up this past Tuesday to make our demands heard. They felt our presence. They continuously on multiple occasions reminded us that the item was not on the agenda that day, which leads me to think that they know that we were present. And so they know that we're going to come back. And so I also sat on the study session for the $10 million that they earmarked towards a community center. This meeting happened 2 weeks ago. And so we understand that the funds are there. We understand that the money is there. And they could easily purchase this location, make it a city-owned location, and they can fund the creation of a community center. We know that for a fact. So we just have to get the public to come out and continue to voice the demands, but also let them know what injustices we're experiencing as a result of this decision that they're making.
Good.
Yeah, so we have concrete talking points to talk about.
It sounds like you are getting ready for a show on Tuesday. It sounds like you went to give them a preview of what's coming this upcoming week. And I think that's important. And before we finish, we're going to ask Daniel in a second to tell us what was one of the chants that he was sharing there. But before that, it's my understanding that this Sunday you're planning to be at Resurrection Church in celebration of Our Lady of Guadalupe at 6 or 6:30 in the morning, collecting signatures. Can you tell us briefly what's going to happen there?
Yeah, so Dia de la Virgen is coming up this 12th of December. So we have been giving the opportunity to continue to table and campaign for more signatures at La Resurrección. We'll be set up there early on before Mass. And the idea again is to get more physical signatures. We'll also have the online petition available. We'll have a QR code that folks can walk up and scan and briefly fill out and sign the petition. So our efforts are going to be ongoing, and the online petition, we're not closing it yet. It's going to remain open, so we can get. Right now, we are 7 signatures away Looking at it currently, and we're 7 signatures away from 500, which is the next. Oh, actually, sorry, we just surpassed 500. We're at 502, but we want to get to the next benchmark that would allow this petition to continue to be promoted. So yeah, we have this weekend is a big opportunity for us to collect more signatures, and moving forward, we for sure want to generate a turnout. So if you go to change.org and look for the petition entitled "Get the Santa Rosa City Council or SR City Council to Meet the Demands of Roseland," it's also being promoted and circulated on social media. And just if you come across it, please sign it, share it, and pass the word.
Definitely. And so for people who are watching the video on YouTube, the link to the petition will be made available to you there. And also on my Facebook page, I have multiple pages, but my Facebook page, DACA Sonoma County, you will also be able to find the link to the petition there. And with that, I think that Daniel, to be present as we were broadcasting live on Facebook that day, it was interesting how you never took a break and you were just so energized to be able to keep repeating this chant. So I would appreciate it as we finish this version, this interview. I would appreciate it if you could remind us what was one of the chants or all of the chants that you were shouting out and getting, it was a call and response situation and the community was responding to your chant. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, so the chant started off with when our community is under attack, what do we do? And then they'd respond back, stand up, fight back. And then that would be followed by se puede, sí se puede. And then que vivan los estudiantes. And then the response would be que vivan. And then finally it'd be que viva Roseland, que viva. And then it was just that the whole way there until we got to City Hall.
Yeah, and again, it was interesting to see, like I said, you never took a break. You never, stopped. It seemed like you were motivated. The energy was coming from you, but obviously the community that was surrounding you. And so with that, I want to thank you all both for taking the time and have this conversation. We're going to do it in Spanish briefly, but I wanted to make sure that the community knew as to what was happening in Roseland with this petition, this appeal that is going on. Thank you both for taking the time and being with us today.
Yes.